Things are not looking good for the live-action adaptation of Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is sad because a lot of people have really been looking forward to this. So welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idle, and this is something I said I wasn't going to talk too much about. I've been getting a lot of questions, both in my live streams on X. Yo, Leon, did you see the live-action trailer? Hey, Leon, are you going to talk about it? Are you going to watch it? And my answer's been the same. I hope it's good. I want fans to get what they want out of it, just like I got out of live-action One Piece, but I'm gonna be real, I'm not an Avatar fan. I like it. I do want to say, I like Avatar: The Last Airbender, so before you guys go off on me in the comments, that being said, full disclosure, I didn't see it until about 3 or 4 years ago. I didn't grow up with it, I have no nostalgia for it, so I thought, I'm gonna kick back, I'm gonna let the real fans handle this one, because even though I like the show, I don't really consider myself a real fan. It's something that I didn't grow up with, that's not near and dear to my heart, and there are people who love the show, it means so much to them, and they are probably better qualified to talk about it than I am. But then I saw this, and I do have to say something. It's something we do gotta talk about. Netflix's live-action Avatar series took out how sexist Sokka was in the original. A lot of moments in the animated show were iffy. So we're going to go over this because I got some thoughts. Before we do, hit that subscribe button. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news almost every day. And you know what? Free speech, it's been in decline in nerd culture. We got to get it out there. We got to talk about what's on our minds. And even if I'm not a fan of this particular show, or at least not a real fan, at least not a massive fan, I want it to be good for fans and I want to see fans succeed. So I think it is important to talk about. So I will say, casting-wise, the guy that playing Sokka looks great. Like, that's a real good look. But what do they have to say about the actual show? Because that headline, that's not a good sounding headline. When Avatar: The Last Airbender makes its live action debut on Netflix next month, Sokka's sexism will be toned down considerably. Now, this is coming from Variety. We've seen time and time again writers and people who go out there to say stuff to the media and the industry, and it's bunk. They're just saying it to look good for the crowd. That said, most of the time, we all know Netflix live-action adaptations are garbage, and while the visuals in the trailer did look stunning, I don't think anyone was really worried about the visuals. I think people are worried about the story, the content of the story, the content of the characters, and everything that comes with the meat of it, not just how it looks. At this point, budgets are great. We've seen Netflix put out some gorgeous-looking live-action adaptations that just don't meet the mark in terms of actually catering to the source material on a writing level. In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, cast members Kiwintio, who plays Katara, and Ian Owsley, Sokka, informed fans that Sokka's sexism was discussed during the live-action show's development and was deliberately cut away as it had no place in the new remake. Now, I vehemently disagree with this, and I think the majority of you guys will as well, because let's take a look at Sokka. Let's take a look at his character. Is he a very sexist character at the beginning of the show? Absolutely. But he goes through development, he changes, he fosters and forms relationships with many strong women, like Toph, for example. Like, there is literally a reason for his sexism, and it's for him to grow and develop and change and be proven wrong. Wouldn't that be a good message to have in the show? Wouldn't it be great to start off with one of our heroes having that character flaw, having the sexism as a character flaw, and then see him grow and change, especially for individuals who are watching this that might not have experienced the original Avatar? It seems very counterintuitive to good writing to cut out heroes' character flaws, because all good heroes do have them. And while, of course, Sokka is not the main character, it's important that when you've got an ensemble cast, like you do in Avatar, or like you do in Star Wars, or like you do in various other, franchises that have a cast of heroes that are going up against a large overarching threat, that all those heroes have flaws and have something they need to work through. So cutting out a flaw is antithetical to good writing. I can't see how this is obviously they're saying it's got no place in the new remake, saying, oh, modern audiences can't handle that. Well, why is that? I want you to explain to me why negative character flaws are such a bad thing, when in all reality, that's what makes them relatable. That's what makes these characters worth watching. As you can see, you're always talking about how, oh, we need to see ourselves in so-and-so character. Isn't seeing your flaws in that character good as well? And then if that character overcomes them and grows and develops throughout the show, that could teach you, the low IQ viewer, something. So, no, I think this is a bunk mentality to go into the show with. There's more weight with realism in every way, Owsley said, which prompted Kiwitio to reveal, I feel like we also took out the element of how sexist Sokka was. I feel like there were a lot of moments in the original that were iffy. That's such an interesting word, iffy, because iffy isn't all that bad. Iffy is like lukewarm. Iffy is like, oh hey, I'm watching the original animated series. Oh, that line of dialogue is okay, that can be kind of hit or miss, but you know what? It's part of the original show. It's part of the source material. It is part of the character. It's part of the character that the original creators wrote, and last I checked, didn't the original creators drop out of this remake? That's what I had heard. I need someone to fact check that for me, because this show has been in development hell, so they could have come back on board. There could have been a lot of changes, but yeah, if they're going to be making these sorts of changes to characters that they wrote, why shouldn't we expect changes to other characters as well? Are they going to change how Toph very frequently makes fun of her own blindness because, oh, that would just be so offensive to individuals watching this with disabilities? Well, for that, I would say nobody's blind is going to be watching the show. They're going to be listening to it. I'm sure you'll have blind people listen to it, but they're not going to see Toph making fun of her own blindness. I'm just throwing that one out there. Yeah, totally, honestly agree. There are many things that were redirected just because it might play a little differently in live action. Why? Why would it play differently in live action? This is a conversation piece that I'm getting real tired of. Animation is not respected. Do you guys remember how many awards the original Avatar: The Last Airbender won? Do you remember how it was how it was praised by the media? It was praised by critics, obviously by fans. To this day, it is endured as one of the longest, the most beloved American cartoons of all time, and it's probably because it took so much inspiration from anime, which is an inherently superior art form when it comes to morals and values and teaching young adolescent viewers good, good lessons going forward in life. So yeah, I don't understand how this would play out differently in live action. Why does whether it was drawn versus whether you see a real person say it or put out those actions, why does that matter? Well, where's the cognitive dissonance there? Makes no sense to me. There wasn't very many changes to the live action One Piece, for example, and it was praised. It was adored by fans for how closely it stuck to the source material. Now, were there changes? Yes, obviously. Anytime you're doing something in live action, whether it be a comic book adaptation like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, the live action One Piece, what have you, there's of course going to be changes. Nothing can be adapted one-to-one, but they need to be keeping the core story and core characters intact. I don't see what just making it live action, making it realistic, has to do when the show was already relatively realistic. At least it was realistic in terms of how the characters were written, how you could identify with those characters, how you could understand those characters going on their journeys, both physical and their internal emotional journeys, and where they would end up. The show is incredibly realistic in that regard, regardless of whether it was drawn, but animation isn't taken seriously, so they have this thought in their heads, this incredibly incorrect thought, might I add, that it plays out differently because, oh, it's not drawn. It's a ridiculous mentality. As Entertainment Weekly notes, there are entire Reddit threads about Sokka's sexism, discussing how the original Sokka, prior to his character journey, so they even acknowledge right here, prior to his character journey, they are even acknowledging that he goes through character development and the sexism fades. Again, he becomes incredibly tight with multiple strong female characters. You guys are all about strong female characters. That's what we've seen from like 2014 onward. The media dying for strong female characters, whether they're well written or not, mind you. So now we actually have a story arc where we see a man, who we see an individual, a male character, organically get proven wrong about his sexism, and you're gonna cut that out because, oh, it could upset some of our Gen Z and millennial viewers. Absolute asinine behavior. Would make remarks like girls are better at fixing pants than guys, and guys are better at hunting and fighting. And it makes sense in the context. Where does Sokka come from? Right, he comes from a native tribe that's got it's very entrenched in its gender roles, and that's how his tribe and society has operated for literal hundreds of years. And then when he gets out and he experiences the real world and goes on an adventure, he realizes that, hey, things are different depending on where you are in the country, depending on what sort of other tribes or other types of individuals you meet. The world is not just his little tribe in the cold Iceland region. Like, it is mind-blowing to me that they are quite literally eliminating character growth, eliminating character development, all because he's got some icky lines at the beginning of the show, which again, aren't that bad. Remember, this TV show was made for children. The original animated version was made for kids, so it's not like the sexism was like something you'd see in like a Quentin Tarantino film. Sokka's sexism won't be the only difference Avatar fans see in Netflix's The Last Airbender. Showrunner Albert Kim previously said the show does not begin the same way the animated series does. The live-action series will also show the genocide of the Airbender people and rise of the Fire Nation, which was only alluded to in the animated series. Now, I don't know if you guys want to see that. I don't know if real Avatar fans want to see that. As I mentioned before, I am not a real Avatar fan. I'm a casual Avatar fan at best, because I just enjoy the show. I liked it the one time through I saw it. I appreciate what it's done for Western and modern animation, because it's one of the only good examples you can find of modern Western animation. But this doesn't sound like something that people want to see, or if they do want to see that, hey, that's awesome, but they don't want to see the original show change. They don't want to see it start off a different way. Again, that completely goes against why people will be watching this. They're watching this to see a live action interpretation of something that they love, of something that they've only seen animated, that they want to see in a new light. But again, I gotta know your guys' thoughts on this, because this is mind-blowing to me. Does the sexism of the Sokka character really matter that much? I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna take a wild guess that you're gonna be like, no, Leon, this is absolutely retarded. And I would 100% agree with you, but this is Netflix we're talking about. You know, it's come to my belief that, you know, One Piece, that was awesome. I'm glad we got it. But I think that's going to be a one-off. I think it's going to be the exception, not the rule. And so many of us, we were so much hoping that this could be setting the trend going forward. They saw the positive response. They saw the feedback. They saw that fans were elated that so many changes were minimal, that the vast majority of the way the character was written or the way the story played out was kept as close as possible to source material, and it was beloved, and everyone online, even the people who usually hate modern media, were praising the show. They would take a look at that and they'd see, hey, this is how we do it. After so many years of getting these live-action adaptations wrong, we finally hit the nail on the head. Let's continue doing what we're doing. Only to throw it all away when you see this. Now, does this mean the whole show is going to be bad? Not at all. And I wouldn't say don't watch the show just based on this one article from Variety. Again, take what these writers and these actors and these morons who think they're saying the right thing at the right time to the cameras, take all of it with a grain of salt. I would still wager you should probably experience it for yourself. I'm not saying sign up for Netflix and spend your hard-earned money just to watch it. If you cancel Netflix, you know, however long ago, whether it be because they've, you know, burned you too many times or the Cuties fiasco, whatever it may be, if you don't have Netflix, man, high seas that shit. Like, straight up One Piece style. Hit the high seas, but do at least form an opinion for yourself. But also have this knowledge going in that this could be the case. And yeah, maybe this will affect how you view the show. Maybe this will affect your viewing pleasure, your viewing experience. Who knows? Maybe the changes are for the better. I highly doubt that. I can't think of any examples we've seen off the top of our heads of where changes like these were ever made for the better. But you know, just like with live action One Piece, there is a first time for everything. But I do highly doubt it. All in all, just take this with a grain of salt, and then give me your thoughts. Let me know in the comments down below, or let me know on X, where you can find me at BoltTheWord. And please do subscribe. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day. Not always about, you know, live-action adaptations to TV shows, but anime, movies, music, Magic the Gathering, you name it. Check me out on Instagram at wordsofparadise_Leon. Also, become a member. Join the Discord for $4.99 a month. You can, you know, join the Discord, talk with other Words of Paradise, you know, community members in the Discord. You can suggest topics for me to cover on videos on a daily basis. I love hearing your suggestions. Also, you get a discount at the merch store. That's right, I've got merch now. Go ahead and click one of the links floating somewhere around here. Use discount code VITALIDLE. Get yourself a shirt or a mug. Maybe you want to drink your morning coffee with my beautiful face on it, or at least the animated, you know, anime version of my beautiful face. But until next time, it's all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.